and the grand total of all 2,308 gifts is $330,000, $330,298.70. So I'm actually telling people, hey, start on the back. You probably know what you're going to do for president and governor. You don't have to do that first. Start on the back, but start at the bottom.
Welcome to the NHC GOP podcast. I'm Will Sample. John, as my father used to say, I hope this rain keeps up.
We need about another 2 inches to get back on our annual average, that's for sure.
That's right. If it keeps up, it won't come down. That's what he would always say. I'm, of course, talking to John Hinnant, Republican candidate for New Hanover County Commission. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Will. Thank you for having me.
And we were talking just a little bit earlier. That's a new color for you. It's not the blue. It's not the red. You've got the gray going on there.
The gray on, yeah. It's the same material. It's light. It's good for summertime. I've yet to get out in the 100-degree heat knocking doors yet, but I'd like to see if it masks sweat like the red does really well.
Well, if the rain keeps going, you'll be knocking on people's doors via rowboat.
Yeah. Wearing my tough boots, my tough rain boots. Yeah.
Well, we're getting together. We're talking about a whole bunch of things, but I wanted to start off with an issue that is sort of related to your campaign, but it is of an issue that is bigger than just here in New Hanover County. We know that the Democrats are willing to go to any great length to win this election. We also know that Democrat-related organizations like Planned Parenthood and others are funneling millions of dollars, not just into North Carolina, but into New Hanover County to get their candidates elected. But in the last 24 to 48 hours or so, we are starting to uncover an issue with one of the largest fundraising arms of the Democrat Party, and that's ActBlue. Tell what is ActBlue, John?
So it's their fundraising platform for Democrat candidates and organizations. Republicans use WinRed, and I personally use a program called Anodot, and typically these fundraising platforms are hyper partisan. They only work with one party or the other, and that's fine. But James O'Keefe, who is a citizen journalist with the O'Keefe Media Group, previously when he was with an organization that he founded called Veritas, went through the Federal Elections Commission data, searched ActBlue, and then broke it down by, I guess, zip code, and found people who did not realize that money was being funneled and donated on their behalf using their ActBlue account. It didn't come from them. It wasn't their money. And so Thursday of last week, and we're recording on a Tuesday before Tropical Storm Debbie drenches us. On Thursday, I finished up my work projects and thought, I'd done this thing before and found some interesting data. So I thought, well, let me go pull a new report. We've got campaign finance reports that are of record now from June 30th. And so I did a search in New Hanover County. I ran all the zip codes except for the beach towns. And I went back January 1st, 2024 through June 30th. And pulled a whole lot of data, and what I did was I sorted it by last name, and I'm going to share my screen so the viewers can see what we're doing here.
And while John's pulling that up, I want to emphasize this is all public information. You're not breaking into accounts or anything else. This is published information. And those of you who can't see the screens, you're just listening to the podcast, is that he's got a spreadsheet up of the ActBlue donations from January 24th of this year to June 30th, just a couple weeks ago of this year. And what do you got going on, John?
So so I've hidden a few things here. So I've hidden their address and I've hidden their name. And so we found, and so this highlighted yellow is one individual that I'm going to showcase. I'll go up to the top here. And so there's a couple in here. These first two are the same person. This is one person's contributions. He's an attorney. You can see over here, these are the individual donations, and then this column is the cumulative to that organization. So this person in 6 months has made $945 in donations.
And these are small nickel and dime donations.
Yeah, $1 here, $5 there. I mean, and you can see it adds up. 24 cents. So some organization. In fact, we can go look at that.
Who gives 24 cents to an organization?
Yeah, for a total of $11.96. And who's that go to? It's a contribution to ActBlue. And so you can see who this person's donating to. He's donating to the DCC, the Democrat Congressional Committee, I guess it is.
Yep.
Warren for Senate, which is Elizabeth Warren. Kane for Virginia. Marlando Pridgen for U.S. Congress, whoever that is. So this is just one person. This person, I know this person. He lives around the corner from me. He's an attorney, and that doesn't seem unreasonable for me, for him to make that contribution. We scroll down, and you can see these jobs are not employed, or they're student, they're chef, they're manager, homemaker, web technician, physician. And so we get down here and scroll down to about number 700, and I think it's going to be 85 here.
And
So
as he's scrolling down, folks, he's right. The jobs that they're mentioning, most often it says unemployed.
yeah.
I mean, these are not employed.
And I'm seeing this IT manager here, so I need to probably pull that and see who that is. Because they live in Wilmington and 28405, so I might need to check this out. But this is an individual. I highlighted this one. She's a 74-year-old woman. She lives over in 28409. And this individual has made, since January 1st, 2,308 donations. Which
Say
seems
that.
almost
Say that. Numbers aren't good on audio. Say that number again.
2,308 individual contributions in a 6-month window.
A 6-month window.
And so that's kind of almost physically impossible. But with the app here, with the spreadsheet, it tells us what date she gave and tells us the individual donations she's made. And then the right column here is the cumulative.
So again, those of you who can't see the screen, what we're looking at is that on, for example, 5/30, that's it's saying that she made a series of what looks like 10 donations all at the same time, right at the stroke of midnight.
Right.
Okay. And it keeps going on and on and on. And this person gave a grand total. I wrote that down someplace.
Yeah, let me get down here to line 3,096. Like I said, it was 2,308 gifts.
So you're going to have to share your screen again, John.
Oh, did I lose it?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm a professional podcast host, so I can vamp
Thank you for sharing.
with the.
All right, so this is the bottom line here, and the grand total of all 2,308 gifts is $330,000, $330,298.70.
$330,000 over a period of 5 months, and
January 1 through June 30th, 6 months.
6 months, and all of these were made. There's just a series of them made all at the same time. And the other thing that we're seeing with these is that the vast majority of these donations aren't going to candidates here in North Carolina. They're going all over the place. We're seeing people.
So I did a deep dive on this, and there's the Democrat Party of New Hanover County, the Democrat Party of North Carolina, no. Roy Cooper, no. Josh Stein, no. The guy running for Attorney General, the lying guy, Jeff Jackson, he's not on this list. No local candidates on this list. So, here's Alyssa Slotkin.
For Michigan.
Michigan, yeah.
Friends of Raha for Congress. The only thing that could possibly be local is where it says contribution to
To Act
ActBlue.
Blue. Yeah. Here's the earmarked for Jane Fonda Climate PAC, the Squad Victory Fund. Um, you know, Jeffries or Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, Montana's for Tester. You know, it's all over the country. Bob Casey.
So
Earmarked for Resist, Reclaim, Rebuild PAC.
the reason why we're talking about this, John, is that if you're a Democrat or if you're an American, you can give to whatever party that you want. But I would lay dollars to donuts that this person does not realize that these things are being given in her name to
Correct.
these various funds. And we kind of stopped on a series of donations given on July 3rd, 2024, all at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And what we're hearing reported on other areas is that, unlike Anadot, which the New Hanover GOP uses, unlike WinRed, which is what Donald Trump and others use, is that ActBlue does not require the CVV from the back of your credit card for
Right.
donations. And so what this could possibly be is this is international money laundering. It
Quite
could
possibly,
very
yeah.
well be.
And I want to caution the viewer or the listener. I've got a friend who is an independent citizen journalist, and he's trying to contact this lady. You know what? If she has the technological ability to give all these gifts at the exact same time, hey, good for her. I
I doubt it.
You can't. And so we're going to try and get her on recorded audio or video saying that she did not do this, at which point it becomes a national story.
Well, okay, let's go ahead and take that off the screen. I'll tell you this, is that if you're a Democrat and you're listening to this and you give to ActBlue, I would suggest that you do two things. Number one, give ActBlue a call and make sure that your name is not all over the place. And number two, give us a call if you find that that's the case. We would really like to talk to you. Again, the GOP is all about individual freedom. Go ahead.
If you've ever given ActBlue, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And here's the interesting thing about that voter who gave 2,308 times this year. She's lived in New Hanover County since 2005. The first time she voted was the 2022 primary, then the 22 general, and then the 2023 municipal. She's only voted 3 times in New Hanover County, according to the New Hanover County Board of Elections. So, like I said, I pulled the MLS data sheets on her house. We know a lot about her. It's just a matter of getting her to answer the phone right now or answering the door to our citizen journalist and telling us, did you do this or not? If you did, fine, we'll leave you alone. And if you didn't, we want to help you. We want to help you clear your name because ActBlue is up to something, and they're doing it under your name.
And again, this all goes back to Democrats will do anything to get into power. And this is actually one of the areas that is chief amongst your campaign goals is accountability. Now, we're talking about accountability in campaign, but this brings us over into accountability into how the government spends the tax money that they take from us. So
right, and one last thing on ActBlue. ActBlue is a product of the Obama administration, and so it's not there. This isn't happening by mistake. But I'll move on. Government accountability. When I began this campaign, I was trying to alert people to the reality of what Port City United was. And it was a county department that was formed in 2021 after a shooting at New Hanover High School. Everybody freaked out and thought, we need to do something. We need to do something. And there were some serious issues around that individual and the individuals involved in that shooting that needed to be addressed as well. And so they created this anti-violence, violence interdiction organization, and then they built in a bunch of wraparound services through using social service programs, and out of the gate they hired a guy, nice fella, had no business being a department head. They paid him six-figure salary. When they realized after 2 or 3 weeks the guy didn't know how to show up on time, didn't understand professional dress code, didn't understand that he couldn't take the county car to pick up his kids from school, didn't understand he couldn't run errands with it. They hired a coach, and they spent a couple $100,000 on a coach to try and coach him up. You're like, hey, you got to be on time to work. You get whatever amount of time you get for lunch. You can't just disappear for 2 or 3 hours. You gotta do your job. You got to get these reports. I'm reminded of scenes from the show The Office. I need that TPS reports, or the movie The Office. And somebody made that hiring decision, and we need to understand that. The other hiring decision we need to understand is we hired people from the defunct True Colors Brewery who we knew were active gangbangers. We knew had criminal charges that were not fully adjudicated. We knew that they had drug charges and violent crime charges, and some of them had second-degree murder charges.
Wow.
And they hired those folks, and they hired them without a drug screening. Now, you work at this, if you go to work for Hanover County at social services, you're going to get drug screened. And so when they dissolved Port City United, the county manager, and I don't disagree with this decision, but where they had availability and openings, they laterally transferred some people over to these other departments. But they moved some of these people into social services, into segments of the department, into sub-departments, with a group of people who were all drug screened to get hired. And these folks just got the free lateral pass. Somebody made a decision, and there's got to be some accountability to that. The other thing that drives me insane is we created this multi-million-dollar department called Port City United, and out of the gate, somebody in our county government said, okay, when Port City United said, we're not going to cooperate with law enforcement, another county department.
What are they?
We're not going to cooperate with law enforcement. You're in violence interdiction, man. You're working in crime.
Yeah.
And they've had two people arrested for accessory after the fact of attempted murder after the fact, accessory to murder, attempted murder after the fact. The first one had it exonerated. The second one was well known, highly publicized. Houston Moore drove a 17-year-old to the scene. 17-year-old did the shooting, probably paralyzed another 17-year-old, then drove the kid away. That shooter's name, by the way, was Virgil Oliveira. I want to come back to that. And then a few weeks later, a third Port City United employee was arrested selling crack cocaine and maintaining a dwelling for the manufacture of crack cocaine. And on the detectives and the undercover agents' hidden body cam, they saw the guy wearing his New Hanover County employee badge, his credential.
While he was selling drugs.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I heard another story that hasn't been made public. That there was when they opened up the courthouse, there's usually a long line of people to get through security. Two Port City United employees tried to jump the line, and when they got in front of the line, they tried to show their credential, their county employee badge, and try to bypass security. And thankfully, the deputies were on the ball and said, "Oh, you got to get in the back of the line, pound sand." And so one of the deputies, naturally suspicious, watched them. They walked a block back to their office and then came back, went through the line like everybody else, went through security like everybody else. The reason he was in court was on a weapons charge. He may have had a weapon on him. We don't know.
There have been countless programs across the country, many of them private, where they hire ex-cons who have gone through rehabilitation. They have changed their lives for the better, because nobody can call a con like an ex-con. Nobody.
Well,
that's what didn't happen at Port City.
Well, and Port City United was in name only. They said what they said, and they didn't do it, but they said we're going to follow the Cure Violence Global model, which was based out of Chicago, and supposedly there's a similar organization in Durham, which a bunch of community leaders went up and visited and saw. If you pick up the phone, call Cure Violence Global and say, hey, when it comes to these on the street violence interdiction, community mediators, whatever you want to call them, what type of people would you hire? And they said, well, we look for football coaches and basketball coaches and youth pastors, maybe some teachers if they're looking for extra work. And I said, and so you ask them, hey, well, would you hire a gang member? That sounds like a bad idea to me. And so we had good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
We just didn't follow through. We didn't keep asking questions. And so there's an accountability piece to that. And so the reason I brought up the name Virgil Olivea, his half sister was an employee of Port City United through a third party nonprofit organization called Voyage Wilmington.
Mm-hmm.
This is all on the Port City United flow chart that they presented to the county commission. Voyage Wilmington was supported by Port City United to provide some of the in-school community resource officers in the schools. And
Okay.
I guess they were there to kind of provide the, attaboy, attagirl support to some of the kids who come from tough backgrounds in tough homes and tough settings. But that relationship, that the dude's half sister worked for Port City United, and then a Port City United employee drives him to an attempted murder scene. There's a lot of accountability that needs to be happening, and there's a whole lot more stories in Port City United that have been just squashed. And it's probably good. Just let it go ahead and die. Let it go away. But there's got to be some accountability. Somebody in our county made a decision, and it's got to be dealt with. So I'm looking forward to bringing some accountability to government.
Their budget was slashed. That program was stopped. But the remnants of the program continue. So something to keep an eye on. But as we continue to talk about accountability and we talk about budgets, and one of the main things that Harry Knight and I have talked about on this program is that as the county goes forward, you are surrounding a city that has just raised its taxes and decreased its budget, where New Hanover County is freezing taxes, while at the same time, didn't New Hanover County increase the budget as well?
So they increased school funding.
Yes.
But they did cut other areas. And so they, for example, Parks and Gardens used to mow grass on an 8-day schedule. And they've moved some areas to 9 days and some areas to 10 days. They cut funding to a lot of people. The chamber got a haircut. Wilmington Downtown Inc. got a haircut. Cucaloris got, a lot of people took a haircut. And, the phrase for the greater good, and in this case it was, because you and me, I don't know about you, but I shop with my wife for groceries and we go together, and it is just shocking. I took a picture. I do an email newsletter once a month to my supporters, and I took a picture of a jar of mayonnaise that was $6.99.
Well, first off, hang on just a second. You took a picture of Duke's, which is really not mayonnaise. The
right.
mayonnaise.
Well, and I'm not getting in the debate over Duke's or Hellman's, which is better. Because the day they're both priced the same, I'm going to make sure I get a picture of both of them. Because, it's not that's not important. But I got a picture of Clorox bleach Saturday when we were at the grocery store, and it was on sale for $6.40.
Wow.
Half gallon.
It's bleach, which is mostly water, actually.
Right. It's diluted to begin with.
So in the day and age where prices like that are going up, mayonnaise is just eggs and other stuff in it, and oil. That's it. So
I just about got my wife convinced to make her own. So.
My grandmother used to make her own, or then she switched to Hellman's. At the same time that the prices are going up, you've got the insanity of government raising taxes earlier this year at the state level, which would have impacted North Carolina, is that the insurance agencies wanted to raise insurance rates on houses. Some of them almost 100%. Here where I live, it would have been 75% increase. That's what they were asking for in the middle of this economy. That's insane.
A lot of New Hanover County was in that target rate of 100% increase. I mean, it was, and what's frustrating is, when I was in college in 1989 and Hurricane Hugo hit in Charleston, my college roommate was from Charlotte. And being a kid that grew up here, I've been through a lot of these storms. I know what it's like. I've been through, I don't know how many I can remember, but I've been through all of them. And so I sit up and watch. I watch the TV coverage, it's habit, right? You're just waiting for the power to go out, and when the power goes out, you'll go to bed. And it was about midnight, and I woke my roommate up from Charlotte, and I said, "Hey, Tony, you might want to check this out. Hurricane Hugo is a Category 1 storm over Charlotte, North Carolina right now." And he goes, "What?" And I said, "Yeah. When Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, when it got up over Asheville, it was a Category 1 hurricane.
Wow.
And the flooding that happened was catastrophic."
Yep.
If you've ever been to the Biltmore Estate, there's a McDonald's at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
That McDonald's had 5 and 6 feet of water in it.
Wow.
So it's not a coastal problem, and we've got to do a better job of communicating to the rest of the state and to the insurance providers and the insurance commission and the commissioner. Hey, just because we're subject to hurricanes doesn't mean it's an east of 95 problem. This is a statewide problem, and there's only 7 providers that work east of I-95, while there's 230 companies that work the western part of the state west of I-95. And I'm sorry, if you're going to work anywhere in North Carolina, you should be able to work all of North Carolina.
One of my favorite movies, John, is Dave. I don't know if you remember that movie where you've got a double that takes over for the president.
Oh,
well, yes. Yeah. And one of the scenes from that is when he calls in his accountant buddy and they go through the government budget. And they just go through it line by line. And what you're saying when you talk about mowing, when you're talking about giving haircuts to these organizations, I didn't know that, for instance, the Chamber of Commerce got money from the county. Is that that's the kind of accountability that has to happen? Accountability is best. It happens best when the dollars and the cents are managed well.
And it also helps if we've got good teammates, right? And so,
yeah.
The Chamber's a great teammate, and WDI is a great teammate, and Kukaloris is a fantastic event that brings in international filmmakers and brings in fans of film from all over the country. And so, and it's hard. It's hard on them to take a cut. But you know what? They understood that, because in their own households, like you and me, they're having to tighten their belt. And you have to be, as an elected official, I think it's hard. I think it's incumbent. I think it's of utmost importance that I have a real sense of what my neighbors are going through before I make a decision from a governing dais. I think it's critically important that we have a sense of reality. And, I don't plan to quit my job when elected. In fact, I'm going to make sure my schedule is tightly managed so that I can continue to produce for my family, because this is not a lifestyle. I'm trying to serve. I'm trying to be a public servant. And it's not that a career I'm seeking. I feel like we can do better. And, I've been frustrated with some of the decisions, and watching a Democrat, Jonathan Barfield, bang his fist on the desk, demanding we keep Port City United in business, demanding we maintain funding, demanding we raise taxes. And it's like, have you been grocery shopping? I mean, have you been to the gas pump? Have you seen your insurance bill? I mean, come on, man. Let's tighten our belt. Just this year, let's tighten our belt and let's try to keep our service level high. And I'm proud of the effort that Chairman Rivenbark, Vice Chair Pierce, and Commissioner Scalise did. And I want to get up there and help them.
One of the main issues, or one of the main expenditures of government, and it's a valid one, is schools. And you have talked on this podcast before about the overcrowding in schools, and the school budget is a big one. The school board gets their budget from you. How are you going to keep the New Hanover County Board of Education accountable and help them with the overcrowding and everything else that is going in their schools?
That's a great question. It's something a question I just had last week. And I think there's a couple of key important factors. The school board also receives funding from the federal government. They get some state funding. And so we are responsible mostly for capital, but we are supplementing their operations to the tune of $2 or $3 a student, $2,000 or $3,000 per student for the purposes of creating a supplement for teacher pay. So New Hanover County teachers are in the top 5 statewide, which is great.
Yes.
Nationally, we're still abysmally low. We have to do better as a state, but we can continue to lead until the state steps in and steps up their game. So there's about a little over $100 million of New Hanover County citizen taxpayer money that goes to the schools. And so the main thing we have to do is to address overcrowding is take advantage of where we've already designated for new schools to be built, and we have to figure out a way to pay for it. But the needs of the school system are so great that it would take hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to solve it. But we can't do that.
We can't do that. No.
We have to take a 5 to 7 year approach. And I think while we take that 5 to 7 year approach, we have an opportunity, I think, in 2026 to work together in a bipartisan manner to consider a bond referendum. For me, a bond referendum is great so long as we don't raise taxes. So we have to continue to tighten our belt to make room in the budget, and that room will be created by the natural rate of growth. Growth has slowed, and as all real estate cycles are cycles, we're in a down cycle right now, but rate of growth has slowed, and that rate of growth will cover the gap that a bond referendum would slide into, so we won't have to raise taxes. But while we're doing that, we also have to take the capital improvement plan and address the problems with New Hanover High School. That's a historic structure. It's important to our community. There's 102 classes have graduated from there. So we have to honor those 102 classes, multiple generations of Wilmingtonians. We have to honor them by fixing it. It's a foundational issue. We've got structural problems. And so that's one problem that's just got to be addressed separate from the bond referendum. But I would take a look at our first 2 projects for me would be the River Lights community set aside land for an elementary school, build that right away.
Yeah.
The second project is a middle school on the CTEC campus at the north campus of Cape Fear Community College. So there's a sequence of events that happens here.
Okay.
You build River Lights, and then you tear down, once you finish that, you tear down Mary C. Williams because it's old, it's functionally obsolete. You move the Mary C. Williams kids over to River Lights. You rebuild Mary C. Williams. Then you tear down Pine Valley, which isn't too far away.
Right.
You put the kids from Pine Valley at Mary C. Williams while you rebuild Pine Valley. Similarly, once Pine Valley's built, you tear down Alderman, which again is very close.
Yeah.
As a crow flies, 3 miles. You put the Alderman kids at Pine Valley, you rebuild Alderman. With the CTEC middle school, you got to build it big enough, 1,000, 1,200 student capacity.
Yeah, you don't build it for what you have now. You build it for what it's going to be in 5 years.
Right. And at the rate of growth in northern New Hanover County, and with the county installing water and sewer along Holly Shelter, Sidbury, and the Greenview Ranches property, which is something else we're going to talk about, that's going to open up the northern part of the county to development that has not been possible because the soils aren't suitable for septic. It's just the bad soils, but you can build on them so long as you have utilities. When you build that school, what you do is you relocate the Trask Middle School kids to that campus and then let Laney flow into Trask. They get the additional athletic facilities, they get the additional cafeteria, they get the additional classrooms, and they get the additional parking. So Laney just becomes a bigger campus with additional buildings. Maybe we can add another project or two. I know Mosley was on the list of tearing down and rebuilding. I don't know if Freeman or Snipes or Forest Hills has the ability to absorb those kids. But the point is we got to develop a 5 to 7 year plan. And I think the key to that is understanding our role as county commission and the role of the school board. And the question that I got is, how do you do that? Well, it's simple. One, it starts with a relationship. Mm-hmm. We have to have a good relationship with our school board. And as you know, I ran in 2022 and I became very good friends with a handful, the foursome, the Fantastic Four that got elected in 2022. Chairman Wildebohr, Josie Barnhart, Pat Bradford. I consider Pat and Josie personal close friends now. I've really gotten to know the 3 Republican candidates running now. And the way I explain it is, once we get attached to the head on a mutually agreed upon set of expectations, county commission handles overcrowding, school board handles performance.
Yeah.
So we get attached to the head. We've already got a relationship at the heart. So we're attached to the head and the heart. Now we can work together. And if you have a need, ask for it. If you have a want, explain what the benefits are. So I think having a connection at the head and the heart, having a relationship, having a professional demeanor. And I think one of the things about the school board for the last 6 years, 8 years that I've really been paying attention to it, voters have to really pay attention to make sure we're not electing toxic personalities. I don't know how else to say it.
We've had a couple on there, haven't we?
Right. And it's really about professional demeanor, civil discourse. No place in society needs civil discourse more than our school boards.
Yeah. So in addition to Pete, Josie, and Pat, you've got Melissa that's on there,
right.
and then we've got 3 really strong candidates running this year as well. You've got Natasha Tu, David Perry, and Nikki Bascom. And so that's another podcast. Now let's. And just to round off this discussion, one of the great things about using a bond instead of a tax increase is that it really gives people the opportunity to literally invest in the growth of New Hanover County instead of a tax increase, because there, to misquote Ronald Reagan, there is nothing so permanent as a temporary tax. You are literally investing in New Hanover County and getting a return from that as well, because it's a bond.
The current tax rate in Hanover County is 45 cents per thousand.
Mm-hmm.
The out of that 45 cents, 2.5 cents is voter approved debt.
Wow.
So that's a really good fiscal position to be in.
What is our current bond rating? Do you know?
AAA. It's among the best you can get. Yeah,
nice.
AAA.
Nice.
Yeah, we're not. There's only a handful of counties in the nation that have that, so it's rare, and we're to be commended for it. I think the city just had theirs decreased because of the debt that they took on with the acquisition of the Thermo Fisher building.
Yes. And then real quickly, your last platform that you're running on, and it comes up a lot, is workforce housing,
Right.
and you have, I think, redefined properly what workforce housing is that most people look at workforce housing as a type of dwelling, and that's not your definition or the proper definition of workforce housing.
Yeah, workforce housing is a price point, not a product type. And I think that's the big thing. It's also, it can be, I think the best type of workforce housing is not publicly subsidized. And I'm in commercial real estate. I've been involved in 2 projects that have delivered workforce housing units to the market and didn't cost the taxpayers a dime. So I know it can happen. I've done it. It's achievable. But the reason workforce housing is so important is it comes back to an issue that's really near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, and that's traffic and congestion. People are concerned about traffic and congestion. The county doesn't own roads. We don't build roads. We don't maintain roads. And we have very little to do with traffic flow. In fact, the state DOT manages the traffic signals. But why that's important is, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics in New Hanover County, there's 95,000 primary jobs. So that's your primary job. That's the thing that you earn your living with. That's how you pay for your living expenses. Out of those 95,000 jobs, 50% do not live in New Hanover County.
See, that surprises me. I thought I was thinking it's 20% max come in. It's 50%.
It's 50%. If you think about it, the Cape Fear Memorial Bridge has what, 70,000 vehicles a day?
Yeah. And so what that translates is that if they're
that's 35,000 coming in, and then 35,000 leaving in the afternoon.
And that's 35,000 people who aren't living here and helping to support the county that we're in.
Yep. They're taking what they earn here. It's called retail leakage. They're earning their money here, and then they're taking it outside the county and spending it.
What kind of jobs would be living in workforce housing?
So, great question. Before I move on, though, out of that 95,000 jobs, 28% of them live on the other side of our MSA. So that's outside Pender, other side of Brunswick.
Wow.
And so you've got people in cars for 30 to 45 minutes in the morning trying to get to work. So think about the choke points in our community. 17 and Market through Hampstead, Scottsville, Ogden, I-40, North College Road, Castle Hayne Road, 421, 74, 76, Highway 17 in Leland. And those are your workforce coming in the morning and workforce going home in the afternoon. If we can get those folks living closer to work, it should reduce traffic congestion because they'll be on the road less.
Yeah.
Your typical workforce housing tenant or occupant, and it doesn't have to be a tenant. There is a way to do home ownership. Is oftentimes thought of as first couple year police, fire, first responder, teachers, nurses, but there's also this important element: hospitality, food and beverage, tourism.
Yeah.
These people make between 80 and 120% of the area median income. And I like to tell people like this: think about that teacher in their first 2, 3, 5 years of business, of industry, or police officer or fire in their first 5 years. They don't have the benefit of having a working spouse helping them with living expenses. So they need a place to live. And a great project, a lot of people are shocked when they see it. It's called The Range. It's on Oleander Drive. It looks big and pretty, and it kind of shocks you when you think that there used to be a driving range there. But that project has workforce housing units in it, about 34 or 35 units. And so at this point, the city and county need to be working with their employees as well as other major employers. And like, hey, you can easily identify who makes 80 to 120% of AMI and encourage them. Hey, if you're looking for housing, there's a number of projects in town where you can walk into the leasing office and say, do you have any workforce housing units available? And you automatically get a discount. And the rent is based on HUD's annual rent survey for the MSA. They do it every year. I print it out every June. It's got every community in the country, and Wilmington's right on there with everybody else. And so it's the biggest and most important piece to me because we want to continue to grow jobs in this community. And if people can't find a place to live, and I know the school system runs into this problem, people can't find a place to live. We've had people walk away from the police department and the fire department and the hospital, some of our large employers, because it's difficult to find housing. And that's just unacceptable.
And having people live here and work here, there's so many good things. It's an increased tax base. It's a decrease in travel cost. It's a net benefit to our community in so many ways. And the county helps with this because you're the folks in charge of the planning. You're in charge of the zoning. You're in charge of helping developers find the places to go and to map these areas out. And that's what you do. That's one of your big jobs as a county commission.
Right. And I think that's a great segue to the county's working on the future land use plan. I think they're calling it Project 2055. And the idea is to paint a picture, a vision for what we want the unincorporated areas to look like 30 years, and so 25 years. So get involved. There's public input sessions. There's one later this week. You can find it on the county's website. Please get involved. The more people who participate, the better it is.
It is a Republican-controlled county commission, and that's one of the reasons why it is doing such good things.
But it's only by one, and it's very fragile.
It's only by one, very fragile. You've got John Hinnant running, we've got Dane Scalise running, and we've got Bill Rivenbark running. The three of you can get on there and cement this planning, because this 2055, that's 30 years away. But it takes that kind of forward looking to make sure that things get done. John, how can people get in touch with you, and how can they support you?
Sure. electjohnhinnant.com. That's my name, electjohnhinnant.com. You can email me by using info@electjohnhinnant.com. And then if you want to donate, you can hit the donate button right there on the website.
And that does not go to ActBlue. That goes to Anodot.
It goes to Anodot, which I get an email right away that I got, and then you get an email that says you gave, which I guess ActBlue does not do that.
Nope.
Because these people would have seen the email that said that they gave money to somebody. But Rula, I want to mention, I know later this month we've got a clustered meet and greet up at the Porter's Neck Plantation for the H precincts. So if you're in Landfall, Middle Sound, Bayshore, Ogden, Torchwood, Porter's Neck, we've got a meet and greet coming up. I want to say it's the 15th. Nope, not the 15th. Do you have it in front of you?
I don't have it in front of me, but keep an eye out on the New Hanover County GOP.org website. We always put those things up. John posts these things on his Facebook account and on
Actually, I lost my Facebook. I got hacked.
You got hacked.
I got hacked. No good.
That's what happens when you criticize ActBlue. But you're still on X though, right?
I am on X and I'm on Instagram with just my name, John Hinnant, no space. We're at Porter's Neck Country Club on August the 14th. It's a Wednesday at 6:30.
Hey, we're back.
All right. I was talking about Porter's Neck event, I guess.
Yep. I hope everything that we had before was all uploaded. I have a feeling it is. So, for those of us who are still with us, my power went out. So we're back. And John, go ahead and finish up on that Porter's Neck meeting.
Yeah. So we're having a meeting. Let's open up to anybody who wants to RSVP, Republicans, unaffiliated voters. Wednesday, August 14th, 6:30 to 8:30, Porter's Neck Country Club. You have to RSVP so that you can get through the security gate. All of your local candidates are going to be there. We may see a statewide candidate or two show up. And this is going to be like an expo. It's not a rally. There's not a lot of speeches. Each candidate is going to have a table lined around the room. And so you'll be able to walk up, introduce yourself to the candidates. We'll have materials there. Hand-to-hand combat. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be great. And so it's a face-to-face interaction. And then there's in September 5th, the Thursday after Labor Day Monday, for the folks in the southern part of the county, Monkey Junction South, all the way to Pleasure Island, we're doing they're calling it the Make Waves Rally, similar thing, utilizing the aquarium at Fort Fisher. Same thing, not a rally, tables, candidates standing at each table with their materials, and you get to go up and introduce yourself and meet the local candidates for school board, county commission, the DA, judicial races, the state house races. State Senator Michael Lee is going to be there, and Hal Weatherman, who's running for lieutenant governor, is going to be there as well. And I don't know if you saw from the Trump rally in Charlotte, Hal Weatherman shook hands in the line for 6 hours.
Yes, Hal Weatherman, his ground
really
game
hot
is
weather.
the only other person I know whose ground game is as good as Hal Weatherman's is yours, John. Is that
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You've got a ground game that is second to none. As I recall, you went through 3 tennis shoes for your other
I wore.
campaigns. So,
I wore a whole slam through one pair. Yeah.
uh, but yeah, these meetings for these local candidates, we've got two challenges ahead for Republican voters. Is that there are some Republican voters who are only going to vote for top of the ticket, and then they skip the rest. And then you've got folks who don't like the top of the ticket and just vote for local candidates. Is here in New Hanover County, our job is to get local candidates elected. But what we are telling everybody at all levels is complete that ballot. Make sure that you vote Republican all up and down, because we want to get you elected. And if we have a Republican legislature at the state level as well as the federal level, it makes your job all that much easier.
Yeah, we heard in the primary, and I think this was on the Democrat side, that after the Democrats voted for president and governor, some 400,000 statewide didn't finish their ballot. That's where they stopped. And so that's a big number. And so I'm actually telling people, hey, start on the back. You probably know what you're going to do for president and governor. You don't have to do that first. Start on the back and start at the bottom. And, your school board is going to be right there at the bottom with the county commission and the register of deeds. And there's a lot of really important, all the races are important this year, I think. If you look at the lawfare that's been performed, executed against Donald Trump, and if you look at the way they manipulated the ballot, and we've never had a major political party change their opponent before a convention and just say, "Oh, the votes have counted, we're done." They haven't gone to Chicago yet.
And they might not even go to Chicago, or who knows what the Democrats are going to do.
Oh, please, raise up the big tent. This is going to be a show. It's going to be a circus guide show. Let's go.
John Hinnant, we are less than 90 days away from. We're 96 days from the actual election day, but early voting starts when?
October 17th, but we're 31 days from absentee by mail vote.
We're 31 days from absentee. That's right. So
there's a lot of people that do that.
Folks, John Hinnant for County Commission. John, I'll give you the last word.
Hey, thank you so much, Rule. Ladies and gentlemen, this has proven to be the most important election of our lifetime. And if you don't believe me, just relive everything that happened in July. The first presidential debate, earliest presidential debate in history. We had an attempted assassination of a past president and leading candidate. We had a presidential nominee, an incumbent president and presumptive nominee resign, and then they appointed the vice president who was anointed with nothing. And it's just, we're in unprecedented times. And for folks that don't vote every election, what you need to know that is most important is your local and your state offices, your elected officials, have the most impact on your life. And if you don't believe me, try to figure out who closed down your stores, taped off your playgrounds, and shut down your boat ramps during COVID. Those were your local county commissioners. And it's important that you remember that, because you got to stand 6 feet apart, even though it made no sense. Vote for people who will ask hard questions, and I hope I've earned your vote. So thank you.
John, thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to probably get you on the podcast again, but thanks for all the work that you're doing, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Rule. Look forward to talking to you again.